Your morning is the most important part of the day if you want to live life with meaning and live life on purpose. Nothing else is more important than getting up in the morning, except for one other fundamental factor, getting enough sleep the night before.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into CrushTheStreet.com. I'm on the line with a yoga teacher, nutritional coach, health expert, actually. His name's Michael Kohan. I'm going to redo that for you. Why am
It's okay to butcher my name and keep going. Don't worry about it. It makes it sound more authentic.
Oh, man.
And plus, if you wanted to try to say my Hindu name, it would even throw you off even more. And usually people butcher that name also, so don't worry about it.
All right. Well, we'll keep going then. Michael Kohan, and he's on the line with me, and we're going to be talking about health, your wellness, and we're going to get some tips on how to enjoy our lives to the fullness. And his website is yourwellnessyogi.com. Michael, thanks for coming on the line with me today.
Kenneth, I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for allowing me to spend some time with your audience, and hopefully over the next 15 to 30 minutes I can add some value bombs for your audience.
Well, I'd love to start off by getting to know you a little bit. Obviously, you're passionate about helping people, and just give us a little introduction of who you are and why you do what you do.
I'm a 40-year-old wellness entrepreneur who is a full-time yoga teacher, a full-time life coach, and a full-time health coach. I combine the teachings of yoga and Eastern spirituality in the Hinduism and Buddhism traditions, along with modern psychology and modern coaching, to create a well-rounded, holistic approach to wellness and spiritual living. My one client termed it psycho-spiritual counseling.
Well, I always ask people who come on the line, when it comes to wellness, enjoying your life, what's your morning routine? And how important is the morning to you? Most people say, hey, it's extremely important. Is this something you would agree with?
Your morning is the most important part of the day if you want to live life with meaning and live life on purpose. Nothing else is more important than getting up in the morning, except for one other fundamental factor, getting enough sleep the night before. So whatever time I go to bed, I get up 8 hours later, no matter what. So if I go to bed at 9, which is my target goal every night, I get up at 5 a.m., and that's where I start my day. And I probably do more in 3 hours from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. than probably most people do throughout their whole day. I can give you a breakdown of what I do for those 3 hours if you would like, or I can give you kind of an overview, whatever you would prefer to provide inspiration to your audience. It's up to you.
Well, I'm interested in what you eat and why you eat that first. And then we'll get into some exercise tips as well.
I don't eat first thing in the morning. So the first thing I do when I get up in the morning at 5 a.m. is I make a cup of coffee. I drink Bulletproof coffee, and I add in my Bulletproof coffee cordyceps or mushroom coffee. So I add that to my coffee in the morning, and I try to drink only 1 cup of coffee with mushroom cordyceps. Cordyceps are a form of mushroom that helps increase your adrenal glands and helps keep the blood flowing and creates a more sustainable sense of energy throughout the day. It's really simple. I get it in a powdered form that I mix in with my coffee. It tastes a little sweet without being overly like chocolatey or cherry flavored. It's just the natural flavor of it. And that gives me pretty much energy from about 5 a.m. to about 9 at night, sustainable all day long. Feeling great.
Are you the type of person who is napping at 2 o'clock in the afternoon then with your regimen and schedule?
I take a 30-minute nap every afternoon without fail religiously. Mm-hmm. There's 2 reasons why I do it. The first one is I start my day at 5 a.m. and I typically get done with my day working with clients or teaching with yoga or doing a presentation around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And I find that if I don't take 30 minutes to kind of power down, I'm a little tired around 5 o'clock. So that 30 minutes changes my whole day. The second reason why I take a 30-minute nap in the afternoon is you get a second wind in terms of your creative energy. You're able to kind of decompress your mind and decompress your body, where you slow down your nervous system. So when you wake up after a 30-minute nap, you are able to be more creative. So you have your second morning. And I'm always more creative in the morning before 9 a.m. So when I take that afternoon nap, I get that second spark of creativity. Or if I'm not working with clients, I can work on projects like writing my blog or creating online courses or honing my coaching practice in terms of the services and the techniques I offer my clients during that afternoon after my nap. So it's imperative that I take a nap every day.
Okay, so for your average person who works at least 35 hours a week, doesn't have the schedule to work out hours and hours a day, and who might not even be interested in working out hours and hours a day, but interested enough to be healthy, where would you start this person? And, what are some of the most ideal things that someone like this can do to put himself in a state of health?
All right. So what you're asking me, when I understand, is you're asking me what would the average person do who is post-college, pre-retirement, has a 9-to-5 job, maybe married, maybe not married, lives a normal, typical lifestyle in Western society, has enough money to have food on the table, roof over their head, and is able to take vacation and drives a decent car and not really overwhelmed, but for some reason can't get healthy and seems to have like a little overweight, maybe a little stressed out, maybe drinks a little too much, maybe smokes. And how do they start being healthy? Is that the question you're asking me? That
sounds like it very closely.
Right. Well, the first thing that a person needs to do in terms of to become healthy, it's not about diet. It's not about fad diets, because fad diets don't work. Like the South Beach diet or the Paleo diet, they're trends and they come and go. And right now, the Paleo diet's the big thing that's everybody says, do the Paleo diet and you will be healthy and you will have this big beefy body like me. And that's not really what works for most people. And most people then get overwhelmed because they don't understand that being healthy isn't about what you eat. It's understanding why you eat the food that you eat. So the first thing you need to do is you need to kind of figure out the imbalances in your life. And what I do is I offer people a Circle of Life quiz, and you can get it on my website. Tony Robbins has it on his website. It's very popular in the health and wellness industry in terms of health coaching, where it's basically a pie chart of 10 areas of your life that represent your life in terms of finding true fulfillment. And then you basically put dots on this pie chart of understanding different areas of happiness of a scale from 1 to 10. And then you draw a circle around this pie chart to determine what your circle looks like. And then that is where you're able to begin to examine what is causing you not to be motivated to go to the gym, be motivated to eat healthy, maybe to get to sleep at night. Because it's not about willpower. It's about an imbalance in lifestyle that causes you to use other forms of substance for support to help you feel better about yourself temporarily. So if you are stressed out at work or in your life and you're not finding joy, you're going to then have the craving to eat unhealthy food as a way to try to boost your levels of serotonin to feel good. But the problem is then you get into this cycle of what I like to call the crazy eight pattern, where you don't feel good about a part of your life. Maybe it's joy or finances or relationship. So you go eat some unhealthy food and then you feel really good for a little bit, but then you drop into a pit of despair. So then you begin to eat junk food and you rise up on the other side and then you drop down and you go into this circle 8 pattern over and over with healthy choices, negative habits, healthy choices, negative habits, instead of trying to figure out a way to live within balance.
And just talking about balance, and I've actually, and I'm not no health expert or anything like that, but I definitely care about my health and constantly dealing with it. I mean, we eat 3, 4, 5 times a day, And so I'm always thinking about food. I'm always thinking about my waistline and just trying to feel good. And my wife, she signed up for Weight Watchers a while back, and right. I remember just kind of going down the list and just kind of training myself as to, that's, and balancing the food that I would take in and understanding portion control. I mean, that's a huge thing, because you might think you're eating fine, and you put a microscope on the food you're eating and you start counting the calories. You can easily be eating 50% more than you're supposed to be eating, and likely 100 or 200% more than you're supposed to be eating without even knowing it. And you're like, why can't I lose weight? Why am I stuck in this endless pit? I'm working out and I'm still overweight. And I love what you said about balance. And that's what I found to be successful when I do have my periods of success, and then I go through my failures. It's really that moderation where I really go and fall back on. Michael, I want to ask you about alkaline water. I know this was a huge trend. I was pitched on it tons of times, and people are saying, hey, you get your body alkaline, you will be healthy. And I know that you're born alkaline. When you're born out of your mother's womb, you're alkaline, right. And usually when you die, you're acidic. And in a very simple example like that, I would logically want to be alkaline. But what about alkaline water? Have you done any research on that?
I like alkaline water. I think it's a great. I think it's really good to help balance the pH in the body. And when you are feeling imbalanced in your pH, you have like gut pains and digestion issues, and you don't get and your cortisol levels increase, so you're more stressed out, so you have trouble sleeping at night, or you don't digest your food well. And alkaline water does help rebalance your pH levels in your internal system, because we're made up mostly of water. My critique of alkaline water is the technology is really expensive for the average consumer. The water filters are so expensive for like an alkaline water. It's like $3,000 to put one in your home, and the average person can't really afford that. So you can just add lemon water to your tap water, and you will be drinking alkaline water. It's just adding that ingredient. Or you can go out to the store and buy essential oil, like lemon essential oil or orange essential oil. As long as it's pharmacy grade and you can ingest it, and add a couple of drops to your water, and you will begin to alkalize your water. The problem is what most people don't do is don't drink enough water in general. They drink too much sugary food and too much sugary soft drinks and or caffeinated drinks, and they don't drink enough pure water that will just give you what you need naturally. And then if you do need to add balance, do it. If you can't afford an alkaline water filter, or you don't have access to a health store with alkaline water, then just go buy a lemon and put lemon in the water, and you'll be fine.
You know what? I recently have been doing some research on lemon water. Man, the benefits of lemon water. And I love things that are minimal sacrifices, both on the financial end and on the actual effort end. I don't want to go and do something that's way out of the way, but I'm going to drink water in the morning, and it's not that difficult for me to squeeze a lemon in my water. And in fact, it makes it taste better. And there's so many benefits to lemon in your water. Okay, well, so let's talk a little bit about exercise. Time of the day we should exercise, and ways to be more energetic, and the benefits to what you do. I know you're a yoga teacher. Share your thoughts on some of this.
I think I think a person should exercise based on their routine and their habits. I personally exercise first thing in the morning, because by nature, even though I'm a full-time yoga teacher and I can do a full handstand in the middle of the room, and I can do tricky arm balancing poses and do 100 push-ups in one setting, I'm by nature, by default, a lazy person. And by the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is work out. So I like to go to practice yoga first thing in the morning before I have my first appointment, because that's when my willpower is at the highest. And by the end of the day, I have no willpower to go to the gym. It is a drag. I have so many times driven to the yoga studio at the end of my workday and gone, I don't want to take class, drove into the parking lot, and then turned around and went home because my willpower was depleted. So I personally find that when I stretch in the morning, my body's stiffer. And so I increase my flexibility in terms of mentally when I exercise and stretch in the morning. And I feel like I get a better workout and I'm able to do more in the evening. But there is really no scientific evidence that says working out in the morning or working out in the evening is better in terms of physical results for our person, because it balances out. It's more about what works for that person and whether they're going to stick to that routine. The problem what people have with why they don't exercise, first of all, I never have gone to the gym and I hate going to the gym. So if anybody on your website, your audience that goes to the gym and gets offended by that, I apologize. I just hate the gym. I hate the culture of the gym. It makes me feel terrible. So I don't go. I like to go to yoga classes. It's not about what time you do it. It's about finding something that brings you joy and that gives you exercise. It could be hiking in the woods. It can be just taking a walk. It's just figuring out a system that works for you and getting your butt there to do it 3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I know I've heard and people have told me, because I was having trouble sleeping, and I went and spoke with someone who was a sleep apnea expert, but in general, an expert when it comes to sleep. He was saying, definitely wake up and try to be up at a regular time, but work out in the morning, because if you work out at night, you're waking yourself up and you might have a harder time falling asleep. But working out in the morning, you're obviously getting your exercise, but you're also starting the process of getting your energy, but making yourself tired at the end of the day. Because that's the whole point of going to sleep, wanting to put your head on the pillow. You want to be exhausted when that happens, so you shut your eyes and your body shuts down and goes to bed.
I agree with you 100% that ideally, if you were in a good, perfect circumstance, you get up in the morning at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., you spend an hour working on yourself in terms of personal development, like reading or studying something that's new to stretch your mind. Then you would take a shower and meditate, and you would do like things to prepare you before you worked out, and then worked out, and then started your work day. Yes, that would be the ideal. That's what I do in the morning. In yoga, it's called a morning sadhana practice, and it's prescribed in yoga that you practice first thing in the morning. But not everybody can do that. That's why I don't stick to anything dogmatic, because I'd rather someone work out when they can than not work out at all. And if I tell someone you should work out in the morning and they don't have the capability based on their current lifestyle choices, I don't want them to feel defeated and not go. I don't want people to feel like, oh, I'm bad because I can't go work out in the morning, so I'm just not going to do it at all. And believe it or not, that's what goes on in people's heads when you're working with them as clients. When you say that to them, they get into that mindset of, I can't do it, so then I'm not going to do it at all.
Well, that's so true in just life in general. I mean, giving up and having that hope. I mean, when it comes to your finances or a business goal, you really got to have something you hold on to and pursue and make happen at all expenses, at all costs. And those are the people, when you look at success stories, it's those people that haven't given up, those ones that broke out. And that's something that inspires me when I see people break out of their situations, whether it's health or wealth or just disparity in so many cases. Michael, I really enjoyed speaking with you today, but I want to give you an opportunity here to share some final thoughts and just in general, just some comments that you might have for our audience or some tips that you might want to share before we say goodbye.
Well, I do offer anybody on your audience, if they want, I as a free gift, I they can have a free 1-hour coaching session with me. And I sent that over to your team with a link to my website. And this is yourwellnessyogi.com/CTS. So it's short for across the street. So I kept it simple. And they can have a continual conversation, and there's no charge, because I know when I was starting out in my journey, I was really struggling with trying to change my lifestyle, and I wanted to have a coach, but they were always just like financially out of my reach, and I never was able to kind of sit with somebody and just kind of get some simple pointers of like, what do I do here? What do I do there? How do I get started? And so I offer that to your listeners. I think the simple things to do to start on the path of health and wellness is to keep it simple. Don't get overwhelmed and don't buy into all the hype. What you don't see when you hear about those success stories is you don't see the middle part. And the middle part is where the work really happens. We tell the story of the person in the beginning where they were sleeping on their parents' couch, or they lost everything, or they were in a place of financial despair. And then we tell the story of their success at the end. And we never talk about the middle part. And the middle part is where the real story is. And that's where the real inspiration comes from. It's that day in, day out, get up in the morning and go through your routine to get to the place that you want to go to in life. And to do that does take willpower. And willpower will only get you so far. And as someone on the path to try to discover to who they are as a person, to live a more meaningful life, what you want to do is you want to begin to understand how you live your life and to create systems versus willpower to allow you to achieve your goals. Like, if your habit is you get hungry throughout the day, and when you're driving home from work and you get hungry and you have a craving before you get home, and so you have a habit of driving into Dunkin' Donuts to get a cup of coffee and a donut, understand that that's a habit, and so you can overlay that habit with a system where you have some granola bars or some apples or pears in your car, and as you're driving home, you grab the apple or pear or granola bar, and it helps cut down and helps fight against that craving. Right. Or another system is if you're struggling financially and you don't have the ability to save money, begin to develop the system of just taking like $20 and putting it into a bank account that is untouchable, and start saving $20, and eventually you'll get addicted to saving more money because it will begin to become a natural habit. So start small on your journey to changing and becoming a person that 10x's their life and lives a full holistic life with optimal and full fulfillment in relationships and career and health and wellness, rather than trying to do an all or nothing.
I love what you said right there. Addicted to saving money. And really, you can apply that to anything. Addicted to the momentum you're building, the success of feeling good, the success of losing weight and getting healthy, and the success of pursuing your financial goals.
It's hard. It's really hard to go through that grind because we don't talk about it and nobody sees it. And you get to this point where you just move really slow. Like the beginning's really great. The first 2 months is awe-inspiring. And then you get into that point of the grind where you just have to grind it out, and you have to do it and do it and do it. And you don't notice the big changes. And it takes what do we say? It's 10 years to be an overnight success. It took me 10 years to get to the point where I had enough knowledge and practical teachings and expertise to be on a show like yours, to be able to communicate with your audience. I didn't wake up yesterday and say, I'm going to talk about health and life coaching and a holistic practice of living mindfully. I studied it and lived it for 10 years before it even occurred to me to do this for a living.
Well, good for you, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show with me today. I appreciate your knowledge. If anyone wants to visit you, definitely check out Michael's website, yourwellnessyogi.com, and we'll have the special link in the description area. Michael, thanks for coming on the show.
Kenneth, thank you so much for your time, and I'm grateful just to be able to add value to your audience, and you're doing great work, so thank you.